press up and immediately take a foul in the backcourt.
Up more, you don't even have to foul now.
4-point lead. Here comes Fox. 5 seconds remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
All right, so the New York Knicks, it's official. The New York Knicks are officially NBA champs for the first time in 53 years. What a cool moment. And the courtesy on ESPN/ABC between the Knicks and Spurs, and the most iconic voices, announcers in the NBA, Mike Breen. Also do the New York Knicks on MSG Network. That's the Knicks regional telecast. What amazing run for Mike Breen. Hold on. What an amazing run by the New York Knicks. Called the iconic voice, Mike Breen. So, what a moment for the New York Knicks. The final score, the Knicks beat the Spurs 94-90, and another comeback for the New York Knicks. Once again, the Knicks were down as many as 16 points. Like I said, the Knicks already led just 24% of their minutes in this series, comparing to the Spurs, 72% led in this series. When you spend the least time of minutes not controlling this game, it feels like they're going to be trailing at the time, but it feels like you're trailing. But surprisingly, you won the series because, oh, by the way, Knicks becomes the first team in NBA history to have the lowest field goal percentage in a clinching game in a clinching game to win. They shot 36% from the field, which is the lowest by a closeout game in the history of the NBA. It's really rare because you don't shoot great, but you can always find other ways to win. They shot 32% from downtown, 12 for 37. But how they won this game has been defense. The defense was great throughout this game. And Jalen Brunson scored 45 points in a clinching game. That ties the record with Michael Jordan. Brunson with 14 for 27 from the field, 4 for 7 from downtown, 13 for 15 at the line. I mean, Jalen Brunson has showed up for his last few games in this NBA Finals. I mean, and Jalen Brunson has been a big story so far. Jalen Brunson has won his second overall championship in his basketball career. Remember, he won the NCAA title with Villanova in 2018 along with his head coach, Jay Wright. It was a cool moment for him. I don't know where Jalen Brunson was at in 2016. Actually, I might have to take that back. Yeah, so we talk about Jalen Brunson. Now he's a Jalen Brunson won the NBA Finals MVP. No surprise. He's a two-time NCAA champion. He's a three-time overall champion, two-time NCAA champion. He won in 2016 and 18, and now one-time NBA champion. So he's won 3 championships in his basketball career. In general, either NCAA or NBA. What a cool moment for Jalen Brunson. Like I said, the bigger X factor for the Knicks in that series was OG Anunoby. He was huge in this series. And he had a game-winning putback after Brunson missed a game-winning shot. Anunoby with a game-winning putback layup in the final moments of Game 4 against the Spurs. It ended up winning over the Spurs. It has been a improbable, I won't say improbable, it's been a dominant run. The Knicks were dominant in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. Shaky in the NBA Finals as far as offensively or otherwise, but first quarter struggled. They struggled all 5 games in the first quarter, but they stormed back. They would storm back after they trailed after one in every game in this series, and they still find a way to win 4 out of 5 times. That is not an easy thing to do. You're facing a underrated Spurs team that is really talented, championship potential, but the Knicks are just better. Like I said, the New York Knicks are just as better as anyone in the NBA. We've been talking about Josh Hart. We've been talking about all of his situations. When it's all said and done, he made everything much useful about the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, so far, Mike Brown. The biggest story was Mike Brown, the head coach. He's gone from firing 4 times, twice with the Cavs, 1 with the Lakers and 1 with the Kings. A couple of years ago, actually, in a previous season, I should say, it was during the season last year with the Sacramento Kings, due to struggling with late game executions for Sacramento Kings, cause of his loss of his job, and now he's now an NBA champion for the first time as head coach. Second overall as either he won with the assistant with the Warriors in I believe 2016-17 NBA Finals. Yeah, I believe it was 2016-17 NBA Finals that he won the championship for the Warriors. He won with Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr was a head coach at the time, so it was a cool moment for him. All right. Actually, Mike Brown Mike Brown has won 4 championships as the assistant coach. He actually won with the Spurs in 2003. He won 3 more with the Golden State Warriors, actually. And now finally he gets his first NBA championship as a head coach. He's actually won 5 total championships. 4 of those were as a coaching assistant. 1 with the Spurs, 3 with the Warriors. Brown won with San Antonio as an assistant in 2003. Brown has won with the Warriors in 2017, 18, and 2022. So, like I said, we've seen some longest droughts, either as an active player or active head coach who had not won a championship. And remember, Al Horford did it with the Celtics 2 years ago. He's one of the only players, he's one of the most productive players, had not won a championship until 2024. He won it with the Celtics, so that was a huge sign for them. If it wasn't for him, he would have walked out with no champion. You know what's ironic though? Jalen Brunson, Mike Brown, and Al Horford has won combined 3 titles, then Joel Embiid, Donovan Mitchell, then, yeah. So Brown, Brunson, and Horford has won 3 combined championships. There's just more than Sacramento Kings. Kings have never won a championship in a Sacramento Kings era, but the Kings have won a championship overall, either it's Rochester, Kansas City, or wherever that is. But we just mentioned about that. We've been talking about about the New York Knicks situation. We talk about Karl Anthony Towns. We talk about all that stuff. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Landry Shamet. All right, so there's several players who were first-time NBA champions. We see most players are first-timers. And in fact, probably all of them are first-time NBA champions. So, I think the Knicks are going to be even better basketball team next year. Even they won a championship this year. This is a good moment for them because of that. All right, coming up next, we'll talk Chargers outlook in 2026. And I'm also going to talk about who are the top favorites to win the next year's championship in the NBA. And then finally, I'm going to talk the San Antonio Spurs season. It's been a pretty good run for them. We'll step away. All right, so welcome back here. 2026, look at the Chargers outlook. So, we all know that this is going to happen on my watch. So we get ready for that one. The Chargers, what the Chargers need to do in 2026. What's the best case scenario for 2026? The offensive line has to clean it up. I know the offensive line has to clean things up, you know. You know what I'm saying, man? The Chargers offensive line was really bad last year because they're unable. Not only they're not unable to protect Justin Herbert, they're dealing a ton of injuries. That's the reason why the offensive line got regressed last year. This year they expect to be better. They got a new offensive line coach. Butch Berry is the offensive line coach. So the area they need to improve is their pass block win rate. Which is really bad. Chargers finished the worst the Chargers finished the worst pass block win rate in the NFL, which is 54%. They only protect the 54% of their snaps. That's it. They only protect 54% of their snaps. That's the problem. You cannot block any defenders. The run block. The run block is all right, but the pass block has struggled. Has affected Justin Herbert's numbers. But some of these protection issues may lead to an interception. We've seen some of those last year for Justin Herbert. Most of those have been led to a sack. It had to do with 3rd and longs, including the wild card game against the Patriots. I mean, the biggest issue is overcoming the 3rd down and long situations. It's going to be hard when you don't protect the quarterback. You're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle. So. So that will be that. So the Chargers just need to improve their offensive line system in 2026, if that's going to be the case. When I look at the Chargers' schedule in 2026, Chargers will kick off the season at home against the Arizona Cardinals. At home. Chargers welcomes the Cardinals in SoFi Stadium week 1. That's a win for the Chargers. Week 2, the Chargers will stay home to face the Raiders. That's a win. Week 3, Chargers at the Bills. Chargers win that one. They'll be 3-0. Then week 4 at Seattle. They're probably going to lose that one. They'll lose to Seattle. Week 5 against the Broncos at home. That's a loss. Week 6 at the Chiefs. No, that's a loss. That's 3-3. They'll have a bye week 7. In week 8, they're at the Rams. That's a loss as well. They'll be 3-4. Week 9 against the Texans at home. They'll win this time. They'll be 500. Then week 10 at the Ravens. That's a loss. So they get 4-5. Week 11 against the Jets at home. That's a win. 5-5. Week 12 against the Patriots at home. That's a win. 6-5. Week 13 at Tampa Bay. That's a loss. Week 14 at the Raiders. That's a loss. Week 15 against the 49ers at home. That's a win. Week 16 at Miami. That's a win. Week 17 against the Chiefs at home. That's a win. Then week 18 at Broncos. That's a loss. So I'm gonna count the wins. They'll beat the Cardinals, Raiders, Bills, Texans, Chargers will be 8-9. Yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs, but some of these games are going to be critical. But yeah, they're going to go 8-9 in 2026-27 season. I know this is hard for the Chargers. If they go 3-0 to start the season, then there could be some statement wins early in the season, and then it's going to be they'll be tested games after game after game after game. They could go 8-9. I just don't see the Chargers getting into the postseason because the injuries expect to be piled up. Defense maybe regressed. Justin Herbert maybe regressed. And the pass protection, it's going to be a little bit better, but I just don't see the Chargers getting into the playoffs. And special teams will be tested as well. So we're going to keep that in mind for that one. And on that note, I wouldn't see it in a different way at this point on. So we'll see how that works. All right, so let's actually move on here. Let's go back to the NBA. Top 5 favorites to win next year's NBA Finals. Number 1, I gotta go with the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs will be favored next year to win it all, because I think the Spurs can learn from it for next year with the Victor Wembanyama and Mitch Johnson. They can learn from it next year. They'll be back. We'll talk about that a little bit later on that in our next segment. Excuse me. Also, number 2 is the New York Knicks. I like New York Knicks number 2. I think the Knicks have a pretty decent chance to win a repeat as back-to-back champions. We have not done that since 2017-18 NBA Finals. Warriors won back-to-back NBA Finals. That was the last time the team has won back-to-back NBA titles. Will the Knicks accomplish that feat next year? They'll bring these guys back next year. They'll try to run it back. Number 3 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. You got SGA. Hopefully J-Dub gets healthy next year. Chet Holmgren expected to be a star next year. Mark Daigneault expected to be the coach of the year next year. Thunder is going to go hard next year. They got now their expectations expect to be more higher than really expected. There's no getting around it. But we just been talking about that. The Thunder. Number 4 is the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics. Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum expected to be fully healthy next year. Well, despite the fact the Celtics has suffered a first-round exit after blowing a 3-1 series first-round lead, this team will be better next year. And I can guarantee that. Despite the fact the Celtics were number 2 seed last year, they could have won a championship next year because of that. And as a result, they would have done it. Number 5 is up for grabs. So, number 5, I'm going to go the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to say Nuggets number 5. Jokic. I think this team will win a championship if it's Nuggets and Knicks, oh, that would be a insane series. It would be an insane series to watch here at this point on here. All right, let's move on from that. Let's talk the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs finishing 62-20 in the regular season. Up and down in the playoffs. They finished 13. They finished 13-9 in the postseason. So it's been a dominant regular season. Not a dominant postseason, but some big wins in the playoffs. But when I say not dominant postseason for the Spurs, because we know the Spurs had some experience issues with their roster. Even they're talented, they're inexperienced. Despite being the number 2 seed in the West, the Spurs are one of the biggest stories in the league. Mitch Johnson, it's been a great run for him. First full season as head coach, 62-20, that's impressive. The defense was top 5 in the NBA. Spurs offense was top 10. That's a good sign for the San Antonio Spurs. You got Victor Wembanyama winning a Defensive Player of the Year. Almost won the MVP of the league. But Victor Wembanyama also won the Western Conference Finals MVP. Got this team to the finals. You accomplished it. You did it. Despite you didn't win it all, but you done your part. Your goal is to get to the NBA Finals, even you don't have to win it all. The Spurs, they had several chances to win a game. Spurs had 4 losses in the NBA Finals with leading at least 12 points, including blowing a 29-point lead they blew a 29-point lead in Game 4. How deflating and painful of the Spurs they were in the NBA Finals. It was really deflating and painful. It's been a painful series for the Spurs as far as holding on to, as far as blowing leads. I do know is the Spurs will win the championship next year. Expectations is much higher. Their expectations coming into this season is to be a low seed, to be a play-in team and get into the playoffs as a low seed. Turns out they finished the number 2 seed with 62 wins and we're reaching the NBA Finals. It's really hardly a big deal. It sure it is. But I'm not mad at that because it feels like you put yourself in a granted opportunity to make it happen. So it's really helpful for them. So what Spurs they need to do next year to improve their game? What areas they need to improve for the Spurs next year is they need like a ball protector. They need to take care of the basketball. Spurs did a decent job taking care of the basketball in the regular season, but they struggled in these losses. They struggled to take care of the basketball. They got away. They did have wins when they have high turnovers. They had a few games they won when they turned over a bunch of times. But they have not won. They haven't won a lot of games when they struggled in the postseason as far as ball security. So they need to get better in that. The other thing they can get better is consistency at the line. Late game consistency at the line. They struggled free throws down the stretch again. We talk about Wembanyama missed both in Game 4. Wembanyama missed a crucial free throw in Game 5. Free throws, crucial, clutch free throws. They need to work on that going into next season. Clutch free throws. And the Spurs need to close out games in the clutch in the playoffs. They've been great in the regular season, but they finished 3-8 in the playoffs in clutch games. What if the Spurs were 8-3 in clutch games? Would they won a championship? They would have won. Would they have won a championship? Yeah. But they're 3-8 on that end. That just can't happen. 3-8 in clutch games in the playoffs. It's not gonna cut it, dude. It's not. I think they'll be back next year. They just got to get better in general. And Mitch Johnson will remain as head coach next season. All right, quick shout out here. Shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup. Hurricanes beat the Golden Knights in Las Vegas in Game 6 of the NHL Stanley Cup 3-0 to clinch. That's their second Stanley Cup championship in Hurricanes franchise history. And Jordan Stahl has named the Stanley Cup most valuable player. Jordan Stahl is the brother of Jarrett Stahl. And Mark Stahl as well. And Eric Stahl. So Jordan had 3 brothers. So congratulations to Carolina Hurricanes winning the 2026 NHL Stanley Cup, defeating Las Vegas Golden Knights. All right, let's wrap things up here. Here's the catch here. I will do a talk show at least every 2 days a week. I mean, actually every other 2 days. Actually, not a week. Every 2 days at the very least. The reason why I had to do this because the major sports season is over. The NBA season's over. The NFL has training camp coming up. It's not only that. I just want to make sure I'm hydrated and healed and healthy. So I'm still gonna do a talk show sometime down the road. And then next month I'll do some episodes next month before I take a lengthy take a full month of rest. I'll try to keep myself cool. So I don't know when I'm gonna do a talk show. Should I do the next couple of days? I won't do it tomorrow. I'll do it like either Wednesday or Thursday. Depends on the situation. The Knicks parade is this Thursday. Keep that in mind. I will talk about that on Thursday. And then I'll just take a couple of days of rest, barring breaking news. Speaking of which, before I end this show here, we do have sad news to share. He is a former San Francisco 49ers. He took them to the Super Bowl in 2013. He's also a former Raider, former Cowboy, and former Seahawk. Aldon Smith has died. Aldon Smith played 6 overall seasons with the NFL. He played several teams. He played, first team he played with the 49ers from 2011 through 2014, and he played with the Raiders from 2015 through 2017. And then before he played the Cowboys in 2020, his last stop was Seattle Seahawks. He was a practice squad member. He retired after 2021. He was a 2012 Pro Bowl, 2012 first team All-Pro. And Aldon Smith played from Missouri University Tigers from 2008 to 2010. Aldon Smith was a 7th overall pick in the 2011 draft for the San Francisco 49ers. And his career stats in the NFL: 228 tackles, 52.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 3 recoveries, 1 interception, 10 pass deflections, and 1 defensive touchdowns. And we're sending all condolences to the entire Smith family. All right, man, that's enough. This is JDB's Morning Cap, and the next time I'll do this show is this Thursday. Enjoy your day.